like you could talk about it in the world of, we were working together, then this put us in there, but nonetheless, man, 16 to 16 and 22 to 22.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Welcome. New show, new week, all of that. I'm at about it. That's Paul Span.
Black Man Span in the building.
Nargis is in the building. All of that. We love it. Listen, got a cool show for y'all today. Interesting topic. When we talk about this Brandy and Wanya thing, we're going to talk about it, from all angles. We're going to talk about it as parents. We're going to talk about it just culturally, all of it. We're going to get into it right after this. Some news broke recently that is wild. And it seems like the theme of today's episode is people we grew up. We got a segment we're gonna be introducing at some point. Nargis had a great idea about like millennial experience, like a segment about like because this is a millennial ass show.
This is my millennium moment. Millennial moment.
This is our millennial moment. We can start it now. This is our millennial moment. And this whole show has been millennial moment because there's a lot of people that we grew up idolizing on some level or enjoying their art on some level. And like as they get older, we find out things that are very disappointing or shocking or whatever, right? And I guess it happens with everybody, every generation. Brandy has a book coming out.
Mm-hmm.
In this book, she talks about her relationship with Wanya from Boyz II Men.
Mm-hmm.
If you are of our age, you remember Broken Hearted and all that. You remember those songs? You know what I'm saying? Great song. You remember? You kind of remember them
Absolutely
dating?
Wonderful song.
I definitely remember them dating.
Yeah, think about them dating.
Mm-hmm.
But we never really thought about, at least I never thought about how old she was and how old he was. I never thought about it.
No idea.
But turns out that she was 16.
He was 22 years old.
He was 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Paul.
She was
20.
15.
Okay. All right. That's new information. And of course, everybody's weirded out and freaked out about it. And it's been confirmed. You've actually found clips of him on the Breakfast Club.
All four of them talking about it.
And you had a celebrity relationship. Were you the only one that was ever involved with a celebrity?
Who was he dating?
Wanya was banging Brandy.
Brandy.
He left her lonely, brokenhearted.
They were saying she was really young when y'all dated.
Yeah, she was. Not that young. Not
jailbait.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hold on, but that's why. But hold on, that's why I stopped it. Hold on, but that's why I stopped it and said that she wasn't that young because I don't want y'all to think Boyz II Men was no.
She said she was.
I was young too.
She said she was 15 and she had to keep it a secret because she was so young.
See, we did the thing. We did the thing when she was like 16, 17 around that time.
You was so you was still a boy too. You had.
I wasn't too. I wasn't
You
old.
wasn't
I
too
wasn't
many
like
yet. It was
38
boys.
years old, nothing like that. I was old enough to. She was old enough to get it.
Okay. But was it legal?
Yeah, kind of joking about it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of evidence that points to Brandy's not bullshitting. Okay.
He said it himself.
Huh?
I said he said it himself.
No, I said, it was on the Breakfast Club. Joking about it. I have a couple thoughts on this, but Nargis, I want to start with you. What's your thoughts on Brandy dating Wanya at 16 years old? Back in like 94, whatever this was.
Yeah, Broken Hearted came out in 94. I liked Brandy because she always kind of. I just introduced my daughter to Brandy Cinderella. And she loves it. So now she's like, where is the princess? Where is Brandy? She's singing the song and everything. I'm like, yes, Black Brandy, Black Cinderella. She's always kind of represented like the wholesome. She has represented one of those success stories in my mind, right? Who up until now was able to reasonably make it out of the industry
unscathed,
or grow up, come up, be successful in the industry unscathed, right? Especially in comparison to Ray J. It's like Brandy's unaffected. Right. So it makes me sad. Because I was reading some of the quotes, and she's saying, she's like, I knew this was wrong. I knew this was a problem. We would say this in public and say this in private. And it, I'm sure it's something that's just been kind of like weighing on her, because I would imagine a lot of people who have been in a position of like being groomed or like being victimized in some way by an individual who is revered. You don't necessarily want to be the one to pop the bubble, but you also got to speak like your truth. And so I'm glad she's had the courage and the bravery to say what it is. Because she probably needed like that. Like she probably needed to finally out that just on her own healing journey. It's disappointing. I really like Boyz II Men.
They on tour right now.
I really love Boyz II Men. Like, they just have a space in my heart. Wanya's whining as his sons. Like, this is just a whole... It's just like, just go ahead and pop that bubble.
It's a lot of trickle down.
It's a lot of trickle down, right? But I think it's a good reminder to us. It's a couple conversations that can come out of this, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Wanya knew. I'm not excuse making at all.
No.
I'm not excuse making at all. I just know sometimes how men are conditioned. Like, sometimes men's sexual actions are the product of what they've been told is right and wrong. Right? So, but I'm not making excuses for Wanya in any capacity at all. Like, that was absolutely statutory rape. I am concerned on how lighthearted, I guess, his dialogue around it has been. Previously, like, this was the age gap. It's like, nah, bro, that's 7 years. That's a child. Yeah. So I'm sad about it. I'm sad about the overall thing. I'm happy for Brandy to get it out. I hope she does not get any type of backlash. And I hope that Wanya has some degree of accountability on the other side of this as well.
That's a really interesting thought. Go ahead, P.
Listen. Yeah, what was said by everyone and what was 100% confirmed on every end is that when they first off, she lost her virginity to Wanya, number one, according to her. You know what I'm saying? According to her. And that happened when she was 16 years old and he was 22 years old. Adam, you know me, bro. You know, Nargis, you know me very well. There's no element of excuse. Now, mind you, none of us, no person has said anything about anything, anyone being forced to do anything. No one has said anything of that sort, and it's not the temperament or the picture that has been painted. Correct? I just want to be 100% clear on that. However, there's a vast difference between a 16-year-old and a 22-year-old. By the time I was 22 years old, I had been married and had a son already. You understand what I'm saying? At 16, I had none of those things going on, right? So we can take obviously this is a where they are is a fast-paced industry. Entertainment is something we've already know the stories of Kels and Aaliyah when she's 15. You understand what I'm saying? So positioning and these people being older nature to even have the ability to be in such close quarters with a 16-year-old due to working. You understand what I'm saying? And one thing that I know, and I know this conversation has come up earlier, a couple of my friends and I were talking about, and you, myself, Adam, and August, we can all attest to being in high school and knowing girls that had older boyfriends that weren't in high school, right? Like just on a normal front of and people sometimes will talk about what the girl knew, what she didn't know, whether she's fast, whether she's this, that, and the third, which none of that matters because there's one person that's an adult in that situation. You understand what I'm saying? And per Nargis's point, I hope that Brandy receives no form because I've already seen some of these things. I've already seen some of the memes that have already put all the men that supposedly that she's been with, that put the Maces and the Shines and all those other people there, the Fragile Star and all those things, and they're putting all those things up, I guess to paint a picture of her as being problematic. I guess that's what that purpose of that is. I don't really know. What I do know is a 16-year-old and a 22-year-old man are worlds apart. And according to what she was talking about, as far as with when being a 47-year-old woman. Now, Adam, you remember when I was in my 30s and you and I were having a conversation on the phone, and I literally had an epiphany with you, my good brother. I had an epiphany of sexual abuse that was done to me that I didn't even know had happened to me until we literally had that conversation about it. And I know you remember that.
Yeah, well, that happened to that happened to a couple of us actually. That was
we were lit. And honestly, Adam, it was so weird between the two of us when we talked, and I was like, darn, that happened to me, and we literally started laughing about it because we didn't I really didn't know how else to process it because I really didn't know. You understand what I'm saying? Like I really didn't. And then I was just like, damn, bro, like now that we're talking about this, shit, this happened to me. Right?
Right.
So being a woman and then looking back on, being 16 and being with the thought process of this is my literal boyfriend. This is like we literally have love and all these things. Like I can completely see that. It's much more simple for a 22-year-old to coerce a 16-year-old. And I'm not calling this man a horrible person. I'm not even calling him anything like that. But to me, 16 is 16 and 22 is 22. I don't give a damn how you I don't like, you can talk about it in the world of, we were working together, then this put us in there, but nonetheless, man, 16 is 16 and 22 is 22. And even, and I am kind of disappointed in some of those interviews and listening to the coy nature into how this was discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, I know that we're talking about things back in the day, and obviously we are in 2026 now where everything is so super hyper vigilant, and we've learned from mistakes of the past. So I can see how certain conversation could be coy, but I don't fuck with it at all.
Well, nah, yeah, it's not a matter of fucking with it.
Right.
I mean, I think that's pretty obvious.
Right.
And you all made the points. I will say, I'm glad we're at a place. I love how we evolve as people, as humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sometimes it's difficult for people. In August, we had this conversation when we did the Tyra Banks, America's Next Top Model episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how what happened with that was a bunch of Gen Zers started watching America's Next Top Model during like the pandemic, and we're looking back and we're totally shocked at how we lived and what we just sort of accepted. There was a time there when we would just wake up in the middle of the night and one or two things or both would be on your television. Girls Gone Wild advertisements, white girls literally pulling their titties out and dialing 100 and buy this DVD. One of three things, or all three. Faces of Death DVDs. Watch people get killed and
literally
and just fucked up. $9.99. call this number, or you'd be watching BET Uncut and watching, you know, as close to porn as you could possibly get to.
And don't forget about Not Made for TV.
Not made for all we can go on and on.
Yeah.
The world was completely different. But that's not an excuse. Please understand, because I agree with Nargis and I agree with Paul. Okay. I'm just glad that we're having this conversation, because I think people's reaction to it in our age bracket is actually understandable, even if it's 100% wrong. Because you said it earlier. You actually hit a point that I was waiting to hit. Most of the girls in my school had boyfriends that were older. It was a thing. My boyfriend's in college. I don't know how many cars I saw coming to pick up girls in my class when we were in the 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And it felt weird then. But it also just kind of felt like when we were talking about the billionaire thing, like, but I mean, it's what it is. Like, you know, girls like older guys, you know. Even if you look at some of the age gaps of adults, it's usually kind of like, I mean, I'm older than my wife, you know what I mean? You know, my wife is 38, turning 39, I'm 44. You know, if we were in school, we couldn't date, you know, so it happens.
Yeah, but you met your wife as a grown man. That's where the difference is.
You only got to throw that in there because that's obvious. I'm not making, I understand. I'm not making an excuse for
y'all ain't high school sweethearts.
That's why I said if we were, that's what I said, if we were in school, we could not date. I'm talking about societal norms and what people are kind of conditioned to believe they have to do. Okay. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Brandy talking about this and us pointing out shit, just like with the Tyra documentary, there were things that she was saying in that documentary. Nargis and I will go watch that show. It's a great show. That we were talking about that she just kind of accepted as like, I mean, get your teeth straight and
it's just the business.
Lose weight. It's the business. Yeah, I wish I could change this, black girl, but you're going to have to deal with some racism. You're going to have to deal with this man fondling you on camera. Learn how to slap his hand off you, girl. You got to learn how to. We would never accept that now, but we did then. So the reason why Wanya in them, because it's easy to just be like, he's a fucking predator. And maybe he is. I don't know. But I think that we solved this problem more by having honest conversations about where we were then. Okay. And what we all just kind of accepted. Young, let's keep it a buck. Everyone knew about R. Kelly and Aaliyah.
They were singing the song.
Age ain't nothing but a number. Getting down ain't nothing but a thing. How many songs, I can put out a bunch of artists that got lyrics to talk about, man, she was only 16. You might be young, but you ready. Okay, this is the norm. So when you take a 50-something-year-old man and put him on The Breakfast Club about 6 years ago and get him talking about Brandy, it's kind of like, everybody knew I talked to Brandy. Y'all knew how old I was. Now we've become more evolved and we are breaking it down. So yes, Wanya got some explaining to do. Okay, 100%. But I'm only expressing for the audience because I agree with both of you that I am just happy that we're having the conversation. I don't want to see Boyz II Men. I don't want to see Boyz II Men get destroyed.
Right. Right.
I don't. I'm not. That's not what I'm advocating for. But I do want Brandy to be able to speak her truth because Brandy, just like a bunch of those girls who used to have grown men's cars pulling up to pick them up from high school, perhaps there was trauma that they dealt with. To your point, Paul, okay, how you and I both, and I'll never forget, this is, and I don't want to conflate the two conversations. One happened in our old Facebook group, and the other was just me and you on the phone, right? But there was a moment, so Paul mentioned the situation on the phone, and that's very real, I remember that. There was a moment in my old Facebook group where a bunch of dudes, I'm like, it was like a wave. This shit was crazy. All realized that they had been sexually abused on some level. But didn't think of it as sexual abuse for years because they thought they just was getting their man with an older jump.
Right.
They thought they just older jump touched me, older jump. We had D. Watkins on, and D. Watkins, one of his most famous pieces he wrote was about how he essentially got one of the lifeguards or one of the camp counselors at his camp basically sexually abused him, and he defines it. He writes it in such a graphic way that I actually can kind of relate to. Okay, I'm not going to get all into because we don't have time. Okay, but so these are boys we talking about here.
Yep.
Okay, I can't imagine how many. Not to say that there's more boys than girls, but I can't imagine how many girls who just thought they were just doing like a normal thing. It's not a predatory, someone jumping you in the alley, taking you, kidnapping you. It's not even really an R. Kelly situation. Okay. But it's just I just think I'm supposed to deal with this older dude. And maybe you felt pressure to do things that you weren't ready to do at 16, 17, even 18 years old. So yeah, Brandy should tell this story. And yes, Wanya got some explaining to do. And I'm just happy we having this conversation because if you younger than 30, real life, I don't know what happens in high schools these days, but if you're younger than 30, you actually can't imagine some of the things we just accepted in our day. Real shit. You just can't even
that the world
imagine.
just accepted.
If you're enjoying this show, remember to rock with us. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, hit that subscription button. Hit that notification bell. Tell them, P, why it's important.
Man, it's important. We need y'all. We need that algorithm to move for us. We need y'all. We need to. Hopefully we can monetize. Help us get this.
Hey, we trying to do it all, and we can't do it without you hitting that subscribe button. So hit that button, hit the notification bell, follow us on socials. Everything's at the bottom. All right, back to the show.
Well, that's what I mean in the world. I mean, like as a culture.
Yeah.
That was just, and if you go back further, I mean, how many times we hear about grandma married granddaddy? Grandma was 16, granddaddy was, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And so, I'm glad we evolved, and I'm glad we're pushing this conversation. And to the last point y'all made, anybody that's, hey, and I also want to express some serious disappointment in Shine, who I really like, who I've grown to really respect.
Yeah, get out the mud, bro. Get out the mud.
Well, yeah, I mean, you went on your podcast. Shine is a code switching son of a gun boy. I never seen someone code switching Shine in my life. I mean,
it's a
literally, I know
survival
a lot
mechanism.
I know a lot of Caribbean people. Like literally will switch their accent, so I get it.
Yeah.
But Shine will go from like Shine Poe to like Barack Obama.
Yeah, I'm the ambassador of Belize.
Yeah.
And you got in the room with your boys, and it's just a lesson to dudes, man. You got in the room with your boys, you in there with your, it's Mason Cam, and you started turning into Shine again.
Yep.
You embarrassed yourself.
100%.
And I'm disappointed in that. I'm disappointed in that man. But yeah, man, leave Brandy alone. Let Brandy speak her truth.
Yes.
Let's learn from this. Let's have a real conversation. In fact, this particular conversation, I'm actually going to make its own little separate YouTube clip because I think it, I don't want to be buried in the back of the show. Yeah, man, I just think that this conversation should continue on and feel how you want to feel about Wanya. You have that right. And that full stop. But while also being upset with Wanya and feeling how you're maybe not going to the concert no more, whatever, also let's try to break down why it happened in the first place and why it was acceptable in the first place. And maybe we can begin to stop this in the future if it's still going on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And continue.
I think there's a... Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Knox. No.
No, this particular type of conversation is always interesting to me. Only because, y'all know I had older siblings, right? So I was the young person at PG, right? I was the one kicking it with 18, 20-year-olds, openly 16 and 17, right? And I remember jokingly, but also seriously, like, hey, Nargis is 18 now, y'all. Nurse is 18. Nurse is 18.
Yeah.
It never turned into anything.
I've heard people say that.
I know.
I literally remember people going young.
Narcissist are 18. And again, never turned into anything, never was put into an awkward position or anything like that, right?
Right.
But when you really break it down, it's like 18 is what the law says is legal.
Right.
Yeah.
It has nothing. I didn't suddenly become more mature.
No, not in the least.
More emotionally
least
capable and competent of handling a relationship. It's literally just I'm 365 days older than I was when I turned 17. Right.
And my brain still hasn't fully formed.
It's still not fully formed. So that's why I'm saying, like, at first I was like, okay, so even if Brandy was 18 and he was 25, it's legal, but we're still going to side-eye it.
Right.
We're still going to side-eye it. So it's like that developmental stage for men and women, because it's a scientific fact that men mature at a slower rate.
Yes.
So it is understandable why sometimes younger women are drawn to older men, because the men their age ain't it. You can't connect, right?
Yeah.
And you can understand why men who are older may emotionally connect with someone younger, because the women who are their age, there's a maturity gap there. Not again, I'm not excuse making.
No, we're just talking.
I just always think that window between like 17 and 24 is always very interesting, because in one context, there is a degree of immaturity that we understand because we've lived through it. Right. But then in another context, we put a certain degree of responsibility on people who are in that age group and their decision making, because we've lived through it. You know what I mean? So I just always think it's an interesting dynamic when you talk about consent and relationships and just what that dynamic is. Like, I was never drawn to older men because the older men were the same age as my sisters or my brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you should be talking to Hodger.
You know
what I'm saying?
She hook up with older sister, though. That's funny.
No, but why are
Yeah.
you coming down to me when
That's
I
an
have two
interesting
older,
perspective.
beautiful
Yeah.
sisters that you could be approaching, or you could be my
Yeah.
brother's friend? This is kind of weird. And there's a reasonable, you know, Hodger's 5 years older than me, so there's a decent age gap between me and my siblings as well. So if it was one of their peers, it automatically felt uncomfortable, because I feel like the child in that space, you know, in that situation. Even though, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm 21, like I'm developing into an adult, you know, on paper, it's fine. But it just still felt like there was still a wrongness to it.
Yes.
To a certain way, but I can't. It's not necessarily. It's not a tangible thing. It's not a tangible thing for me, and it's not something that I would necessarily say that I would frown upon. If my daughter was 19 and there was a 23, 24-year-old man who was interested in her.
Yeah, what would you? Yeah, that's.
I got to meet him. You know, I can't automatically just be like, get your dirty ass away from my child.
Same.
What's your track record? What's your relationship history? But 19 is young as fuck.
It is, but it's different it's different than 16. You see what I'm saying?
It's legally it's
different from 16 because we
defined it.
We contextualize 16 with a high schooler, and there's automatically a sense of childishness. Right? Like society makes that young. 16 for my parents was 21 today.
Hey, Paul, you said earlier, and none of us are capable for Wanya. Just put that disclaimer in there.
I'm not capable for Wanya at all.
I literally just came from my aunt's house. Okay, God bless my aunt, out the hospital, doing great. She was joking about how, you know, she's thinking about my grandparents, she's my grandparents' firstborn, so she's almost 90 years old, right? Well, she means she would be 90 at this point. And my grandparents were 14 and 16 when she was born, or 16 and 18 or something like that, right? You made the point earlier, and you said when I was 22, I was and I was grown, I had a child, and I was married, right? My grandmother was married and had 2-3 children by 22. When I was 22, Paul, I was living in my dad's house, asking this nigga for $20. You know, so when I go up to PG,
22 in Atlanta, chilling.
Yeah, I was 21. When I was 21, 20, only point I'm making is that's why I'm happy we having this conversation.
And that's exactly what I'm going to say.
And I'm so much get to it because it's Nargis is making a great point that like we really need to have a whole conversation about maturity and what maturity is just in general, and how we talk about sex and sexuality with young people in general. Okay, because it's you don't just become ready when you're 18. I know you know this. Okay, you don't just become ready but legally you can do. So yeah, Wanya waits 2 years, like, you know, and again, Nargis funny enough, I remember that, like, I'm 18 now, and some people didn't wait till you were 18. They probably talk to you because you was up in the building, right? Yeah. And yeah, it's just, you got to be able to be open about these conversations, and that's why I kind of wish it didn't have. Brandy should do whatever she needs to do for her, but I hope we can get past the point of like, that's fucking predator Wanya, and get to, again, as I mentioned earlier, why did he feel comfortable? Why did many men feel comfortable at 22, 21, 20 years old dating someone that is in high school? Going to the school, literally pulling up at 3:15 when the bell rings.
Yeah.
And your little girlfriend hopping out with her bags
jumping in the car. Yeah.
Jumping in the whip.
Yeah.
Why? And not only that, Paul, real fast, I know you want to say a lot. Not only that, because again, we talking about a kid making, the point I think we're trying to make here is that you're talking about two undeveloped people.
Yeah.
I know a dude that went to jail, bro, like went to prison for statutory, okay? And he was like 23. Went to prison, went on the run and everything, okay? If you from Largo, you know who I'm talking about. But why two underdeveloped people make an underdeveloped decision? We can understand that. How many mamas and daddies was cool with 24-year-old picking up 16, 17-year-old?
That's another aspect of it. Yes.
Right.
So even with that, like I said, I hope that it just continually be is a conversation, and it is a generational conversation. It's a generational conversation, and it's even a conversation in evolution. Like, understand, there is a reasoning that we can talk about these things with much more of an egregious ideal now than it was when it was happening back then. Because we already talked to, we were all aware. And even what they construed between them was, well, we're just going to tell everyone that we're going to wait until you turn, exactly what Nargis was just talking about. We're going to wait until you turn 18 for us to pursue any romantic endeavors, right? Which we know now was a complete lie, but for the reasoning, like, the way they felt in society made them have to say that, and even where they were in their careers, and to have to say those things. So I think it's more important to continually have this conversation and allow it to grow and to talk to the young people and let everyone know that, because ultimately you're not overtly mature, completely mature at 21 and 22 years old. No, and you're definitely not at 15 and 16. You understand what I'm saying? So like, let's just keep having this conversation and keep figuring out where that blurred line came in. And like I say, we are years removed from some of the stuff that was so acceptable back in the day. Like, I'm telling you, Adam, when I think about some of the things that we were doing as teenagers, some of the stuff that I would do at my job, with like some of the stuff that we thought was funny and all those things, that when you reflect back now and be like, nah, we're the really, like if we looked at the stuff that we were doing through today's lens, of Raka people could be considered predators. Yeah,
100%.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's just
100%.
It's just important to keep
Yeah.
having this conversation and to keep
Yeah.
letting the younger generation know. And truth be told, like, none of that shit is okay. Just because we were cool with it and we can talk about how it was back then. And I think that's important to reference back, because I'm not calling Wanya some sort of monster or anything like that. I don't know if he is. I know that it is wrong for a 22-year-old to engage in sex with a 16-year-old nowadays.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's probably completely wrong.
I mean, it was wrong
back
then. It was wrong.
Wrong
It was
back
wrong
then.
then.
But now we're learning more, growing, evolving, and having these tough
Right.
conversations. And I hope that we don't stop having them.
Right. So we're gonna wrap up soon. I just want to just say something real quick. Yes. But I think it's also, if we really want to have this conversation, we need to evolve past, like, if you 22, you sleeping with a 16-year-old, you wrong, right? That's obvious.
Right.
But we got to talk about hypersexuality and hypersexual activities within young people.
Yes.
Okay, we all parents here, so when we look back on our past, you mentioned a couple of things, right? I really could tell some wild stories, but I'll even, we talked about PG. We young people in there, man, I don't even want to talk about, like, how we accessed our offices and what we would use our like student government offices for.
100%.
Okay, like in the school building, and I'm not saying this to brag, bro. I can even tell you just lightning fast. I ain't gonna put nobody out there. Just know that I had a group of friends from 10th grade to senior year. Each year, and one of my friends, you probably heard me tell the story, if you maybe you haven't. Anyway, we would go to dude's house. His father worked nights, so we would just hang over there. And each year, it got progressively worse. First year, we would play on the telephone, just in there, bunch of teenage dudes, alone, nobody supervising us, bullshitting, eating whatever, watching TV, playing on phones. The next year, we would go steal from Target and then listen to the CDs at the crib. The next year, we realized, it dawned on us, this is a free house. If you got a girlfriend, this is the place to bring her. By the time I went to college and came back to visit them, you talking about, like, debauchery house. Okay? Debauchery house. And you seen things happen in that house, nothing hard, nothing criminal necessarily, but just like, did she really want to? You see what I'm saying? And so that's how, to me, the conversation is for parents that listen to the show. A lot of parents listen to the show. A lot of our audience is 36. Oh, we just went through the numbers recently, right?
We did.
36.
We did.
That's our audience.
We did.
Okay.
Yep.
We got that, like, in solid number. Well, then you parents or you grandparents, and you got to understand that, like, if you aren't on top of these kids, if you aren't helping them understand, okay, yeah, you might not better stop them from having sex. I don't want to be silly here, but you want to teach them to be responsible. Yeah, you don't want your 16-year-old daughter getting caught up with some 20-something-year-old dude. You also don't want your 22-year-old son falling in love with some 16-year-old girl. You see what I'm saying? So, like, to me, whenever we have these conversations, we never talk about the boy. We assume the boy know everything. Wanya has looked like a grown man to us for all of our lives. But Wanya was not a grown man.
No.
He was legally a grown man.
Yeah,
but
then he was.
Enough,
but not when he first came on the scene, he wasn't. Yep, you're right.
Think about how stupid he was. His career, he was smart enough to realize people shouldn't know about this, but he was stupid enough to do it.
Yeah. Let me throw this in there. Because they talked about, Sean talks about the story when y'all remember the song Ooh Ah, when Boyz II Men made that song, and they had to write that sex song, right? They were like 16 and 17 years old. They, like, all of that was completely made up. Even those sounds, even the Ooh Ah, it literally came, like, Sean, like, one of their managers, whoever came, said, we need a sex song. We need a, and they literally said, up to that point, none of us had sex. We were 16, 17, 18 years old. So, like, even when like, they talked about when they wrote that song, that, like, I didn't know, but I was just saying stuff, like, that's how all that stuff even came about.
I think you want better, Paul. And again, we're gonna wrap up, I promise. I'll do you one better. Mace and Cameron a few years ago had an episode when they talked about when they were underage and they would go to the whorehouse. When they first started off, they were like 17 years old. So this isn't like random Mace, just like in the hood Mace. This is bad boy Mace.
Yeah.
This is I forgot the label Cameron used, but they both signed artists. Okay, they like 17 years old, and they would go to the prostitution house and have sex. Okay, and they talked about it. And to my point, okay, they talked about it, and they kind of joked, laughed about it because it's Mace and Cameron, but they were being vulnerable and talking about how like they didn't understand what they were doing. And then Melissa Ford on Joe's podcast was flippant about it and was like, you know, I mean, who you think they didn't realize? Do you think they hadn't gone in there as grown men too? So again, that's why I say this isn't to turn into a defense of Boyz thing because Wanya's wrong in that situation. But I think if we really want to solve this problem and stop this, we have to teach boys and girls. And we have to acknowledge that boys can be sexually stupid, but they're boys. So someone should have been around Boyz II Men at the time, guiding them. The moment they saw, everybody laughs at Jaden Daniels. We did a show on this, Paul, on a podcast that did really, you know, on our practice podcast. We talk about Jaden Daniels and his mom. This is the last point I'm gonna make. Jaden Daniels and his mom, right? And people kind of feel like he might be dating Juju, right? Well, Juju's still in college. Jaden Daniels in the league, right? Even if they like each other, you know who's stepping in? His mama.
His mama.
Literally, there's a clip of her sitting in between them. Okay? Because who knows? I don't know if Jaden Daniels is actually dating Juju, but if they aren't cousins, they like each other. You can tell. But his mama is protecting him and her. Not because Juju fast. It ain't that. She just saying, you are young, dog. She said it in the interview. We talked about it, Paul. He a kid, and what all the grown men do? He ain't no kid. He the quarterback of the Commanders. He's a grown-ass man. He not. He's just a good-ass quarterback.
Right.
He's a young dude who's what's the piece of the brain that pops on when you turn 25? Whatever that part is that men it just like clicks on when you're like 25 years old. All of a sudden you stop jumping off buildings and shit and drinking Red Bulls all night.
Yeah.
His mom is helping him because he can't make the best decisions right now. He's a young ass dude, and she certainly can. So parents, if you're listening, man, don't stop raising your children after 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I add something.
Yes.
I think to add to what you guys are saying, I think it is that broader conversation. Granted, I know parents, we tired, we busy, we trying to pay bills, right? But in this new evolution of us trying to pour into our kids and give them what we didn't get, the conversation around sex has to be more than wait until you're married or wear a condom.
Yep.
Yeah,
it has to be more than that. Yeah, like because those are the two extremes. Either wait and you're going to hell if you don't, or I know you're not gonna wait. Just don't bring no babies home and don't catch nothing. Here are free condoms, right?
Right.
There's no in between. There's no conversation about. There's no conversation around. Again, the emotional intelligence,
your mentality,
the maturity that has to come with it. Because once you get introduced, like sex feels good. Like I don't think any parent ever just says that to their kid. Like sex feels good. Drinking alcohol feels good. Doing drugs does feel good. Like I understand why you're gonna be drawn to doing these things. But sex is not recreation.
Right.
It can be with the person that you're committed to. Like, you know, once you're in that committed or understanding monogamous or poly, whatever type of sexual construct that you ascribe to, it can be enjoyable within certain confines and with a certain, again, emotional approach to it. But when you just allowing whatever and sticking whatever, you're diluting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, and you're not offering in or bringing in the conversation that there are so many other things that you can do to enjoy the company of the opposite sex, or to enjoy the company of someone that you're attracted to, whether it's the same sex or otherwise. That it doesn't have to just be reduced to getting it in.
Yeah.
And if it is that
should be
these
your
are
choice.
these are the things that you have to think about. When you are getting involved, you are inviting someone's body into you.
Yes.
You are inserting your body into someone else.
Yes.
This is what comes along with it. No one's really doing that, right?
Yeah.
So I think, excuse me, and I'm not saying that's going to be like 100% prevention, but I think it is very important to switch up the birds and the bees conversation.
Yes.
From just
it's super
you can make a baby,
Nargis.
you can get a thing, you can
Super
do whatever
important.
to
It's
hey,
super
you have
important.
these feelings. I can't stop you from doing
No.
a damn thing. When you
No.
do it, you're gonna like
And
it.
that's the
You're
worst
gonna want
part
to do
about
it
it.
again. I understand. Let's have a
Let's
conversation
talk about it. Yes.
about the steps around it, into it, what's informing your decision making, right? Is it the hormone? Is it up here? Is it down there? Like, let's have that conversation, and let's continue to have that conversation. No judgment.
Nah,
I just want you to be emotionally safe and physically safe
and
in doing
prepared.
this thing.
Prepared. I talked to Anton about everything. I talked to him about some of the stuff that was going on when we were teenagers. I talked to him about trains. I talked to him about all of that stuff. I just want him to be as prepared as possible from my brain, from the experiences that I've had. Like it's so. I think just having nuance in the
He
conversation.
means running trains, people. He doesn't mean choo-choo.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get that right.
What about the train?
You know what I'm saying? Right.
He's not talking about Metro.
Yeah.
He's talking about
Metro?
multiple men in one woman.
Yeah, I mean, even the idea of conversation around sex just needs to change. Like have a real conversation. I think sometimes people become parents and then they act like, what's so crazy about the fact that people trip over their kids having sex? You're talking to your child who was here by you having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I get it.
Imagine if Brandy had been able to kind of articulate that to her parents,
Right.
instead of feeling like she needed to sneak around, instead of feeling like, okay, well, I should feel lucky. Right?
Yeah.
This guy who can sing, we're vibing. I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but like, I'm just thinking, when you don't think you can go to your parents for something, that puts you in a you're in crisis mode.
Yeah, man.
Like, you're in a very vulnerable spot.
Trying to figure it out
this is
with your young
this
mind.
is the only person, this is the only other person who knows all of me or all of the things that's going on in my life. This is my pseudo safe space because I don't think I can tell my parents without some type of consequence.
Right.
So not saying that he coerced her in any way, but I can just imagine how vulnerable she probably felt and probably was like, well, if I was any other girl in this situation, she would be with it. So I should probably go along with it. I'm sure she probably liked him too. But I'm sure there were other feelings that were in that she couldn't really articulate anywhere except to another immature person.
15 and he's 22, and that's what I'm saying, man. It's man. I remember I had a little girlfriend back in the day. I was about 18 years old, and I'll never forget. She had gone to the doctor or the gyno or whatever, and I remember I was on the phone with her, and she was like, I was talking, and she was like, shh, be quiet, be quiet. I was like, well, I'm not even in the house before you tell me to be quiet. She was like, she's trying to listen to her mother. And maybe she was, Anyway, she was trying to hear her mother because her mother was having a conversation with the doctor. And she was concerned, had to been her, you would know better than I, because obviously boys don't have like a special doctor, you know what I mean? But the doctor she was afraid that the doctor would let her mother know if she was a virgin or not.
Oh, no, that shouldn't happen.
And it didn't.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah,
didn't.
yeah. That's not
But this
supposed
is
to.
the 17-year-old,
Doctor's not
18-year-old.
supposed to say that at all.
No,
Yeah,
no, I
okay.
understand. But I'm saying this is what she was worried about as an 18-year-old or 17-year-old we were. She was, nervous because she was like, I think the doctor might tell her,
The
you know what I'm
doctor
saying?
snitching.
Yeah, but that just shows it's to your point that she didn't feel comfortable enough.
Right.
Mhm.
I do feel lucky, even though, and this is to both of your points. This is a really good conversation, but this is to both of your points. I feel lucky because my dad in particular was always very open with me, and I felt like I could talk to him about a lot of things, even if I didn't, right? Because some things your kids just not gonna talk to you about. They just kids, But I often fear, to the point Paul made earlier, about yeah, you had sex to make these kids, so why are you tripping off? And I do genuinely agree with that. And I've had conversations with Jen about especially being a girl dad, and with my boy, I'm big on talking to the boys, man. But with being a girl dad, how I'm going to teach her, and I shock people often because it's I want her to be ready. That's my thought process. But I often fear, and I get nervous when I think about all of the wild situations that I was in as a young person with not a lot of knowledge, man. I'll never forget, there was a party years ago. Yeah, all this is years ago. We talking about high school. And y'all remember the little freak line and shit, right?
Most definitely.
The boy would stand up against the wall and get freaked, and it would be one girl that just was like to freak everybody, or maybe she felt compelled to freak everybody or whatever, right? I remember the big thing about this one particular girl, she would let you touch on her if and nobody confirmed that. It just was that
understand
one right
you.
there was is known. And I remember she was, lap dancing someone kind of next to me, and I was in line waiting for my fill up in my lap dance, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I looked at her face, and I could see it in her face. I don't really want this nigga touching on me like this. I guess I got to, because
we're all playing roles.
I mean?
She's committed.
Yeah, and again, I could tell a lot of horror stories. Some of them aren't appropriate for the show, but I'll just say there's a lot of situations that I've been in where I was kind of on my own. I got myself into it, and they could have gone really bad. Some of them went teenage bad. Some of them went really well, but you just kind of on your own. And yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'm not gonna lie at all. I definitely fear that with my children. I wonder and worry if they will make the same decisions I made, which turns out to mostly have been the best decision, right? Or at least a decision that didn't get me all the way hemmed up. And bro, we used to do stupid shit. I really want to say some of this stuff, but I'm not. Yeah, but we used to do really dumb, crazy shit. Okay, we are of a generation that social media was brand new. I've joked about this, Black Planet, when that thing first started, that shit was, we did not use it to converse and socialize with friends. We used it to get women. If you go look at my Black Planet profile, it's a fucking dating profile. It's basically, I like girls at this. If you from here, holler at me. And we used it. So we meet in randos. Okay. So, and it's worse now. Okay. And so I do fear it. So I don't want to come off like I'm, I got the perfect plan. But I agree with you, Paul, that I gotta start getting in their head now. Maybe not August, but with Makai, I need to definitely start getting in their head now, so they understand. And so he doesn't find himself in stupid situations. That for a boy, a stupid situation is 5 of y'all and it's 1 of her, and she cool, bro. I'm telling you. Okay. Or it isn't, you out of school and you happen to meet a 16-year-old and y'all getting along, whatever, and now you in love with her, and now her mama mad. She didn't press charges on you, and you're going to jail. Because in PG, Maryland, I don't know about DC, but in PG, it's 17. Okay? It's like you could be 18 and 16 and 18 going to jail. So I won't ramble on and on. It's just about education, in my very humble opinion. And I think what we can learn, my actual true final thought of this, what we can learn from Wanya and Brandy is that we need to really investigate why that happened, how that happened, why it was allowed to happen. A lot of people allowed that shit to happen, and it wasn't just...
Yep. Her parents included.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you all. Good show, guys. Good
Most
show.
definitely.
Definitely a fun one. Yeah, man. If you want to follow us on all social platforms, the MSR Pod on Instagram, the MSR Pod on TikTok, the MSR Pod on Threads. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment, do all of that stuff. Rate and review the podcast on all podcast platforms. We everywhere. You know what it is. You know what to do. The call to action ran earlier. You know what it is. Show us that support. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're real close to help us do that. All right. All right. Let's get ready to wrap this thing up. Cause Nargis and I, like I said earlier, we playing injured. So Nargis, you good? You feeling good?
Right? Straight. I'm about to get some warm beverage before bed.
Y'all is out here on y'all flu game. Out here on y'all flu game. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple of pills I gotta take, so I need to go and get to it.
I need to go do drugs.
Yeah, I need to go do some of these pills. To get my future on and shit. All right, man. Let's get ready to wrap this up. P, you good, brother?
You know it. I just want you guys to, go do what y'all need to do, man. And I appreciate y'all for playing hurt tonight.
Hey, man, it's for the people.
You already know.
Yeah.
You already know.
For the people.
Yeah.
All right,
bigger than us.
It's bigger than us. It's a movement, right? I'm out of butter. That's Paul Span.
Black Man Span exiting the building.
Remember to be great. Free DC.
Elevate us.
We're up out of here.
Peace.
Yeah.